Hi there, my name is Ken Irvine. I'm the Education Coordinator at Guelph Museums, and I'd like to tell you about the history of this 160-year-old building right behind me, and why it's still here, why it's being restored, and while the city of Guelph is going all around it. Well, this area has been connected to Guelph's military history for over 170 years. The building behind me has been known as the Drill Hall, and it was built here in 1866. So why did a town of barely 40 years of age need a drill hall? Well, the reason is, in 1855, the federal government passed a Militia Act, which was to encourage communities to establish and train volunteer soldiers. Well, the year after the act was passed, an ad was placed in the Guelph Advertiser, asking if there's anyone interested in joining a volunteer rifle company. Well, many people signed up to be part of a troop, not surprisingly called the Guelph Volunteer Rifle Company. This was not Guelph's first militia company, as there was an active militia in Guelph Township that was recruited in 1837 to provide assistance during the Upper Canada Rebellion. So Guelph's militia had people and enthusiasm, but it didn't have a home. And the weapons they trained with were actually stored, for lack of a better place, at our city hall. The rifle company was actually called out twice. The first time was just a year after its founding in 1856, as they were needed to prevent a riot between the Irish Protestants and the Roman Catholics in the city. They were called out again in 1857 to once again keep the peace in the city. So the area where the armory now stands, just over to the side of me, was originally a small stone quarry. It then became the site of the town's first fairgrounds. A tall wooden fence was built around the lot, and you can see it in the picture we're going to show here. And on the first Wednesday of each month was Fair Day. And the lot was filled with a variety of livestock, and prospective buyers came in. But the first building built on that lot was actually known as the Pound, and it was built to house stray cattle that seemed to roam around the streets of Guelph, and other lost animals like dogs and cats. And then the first designated building for the militia in the city was a gun shed, also built on the fairgrounds lot. And this building was used to house artillery pieces for the Guelph Garrison Battery. It was described as a very plain stone building with doors just big enough for the horses to enter to pull out the guns. In the 1860s, tensions were rising between Britain, Canada, and the United States, and there was a fear of military confrontation with the Americans. The Fenian raids from the United States into Canada in 1866 brought more fear and anxiety to the people of Guelph, who then pressed the local politicians for another militia unit. So then the Guelph Garrison Battery was formed. And this was the start of Guelph being known as a gunner's town. So there were now two militia groups in the city without a permanent home. And the city was pushed to do something about it. In 1866, the Guelph Town Council commissioned the building of a drill hall. The initial plans were for a really grand building on a very large scale that would be octagonal in shape, with a Crystal Palace type design using iron and glass, and this would cost about $4,000. Council rejected that plan as being a bit too expensive, and the funding that they hoped to get from the Minister of Militia didn't happen. So Council did approve a budget of $2,500 for a drill hall, and this used grants from the County Council and some money from the Guelph Agricultural Society. And they employed the best workmen and used the finest available material to create a hall, which in the end cost $4,202, so a little bit more than their budget. So the drill hall, which is the building behind me, opened in 1866, with the very first user being the Guelph Horticultural Society, hosting its spring show. Initially, the building was very well used, with the militia drilling and training here 3 nights a week, while allowing other groups to use the building for meetings and shows. There were dances and exhibitions, and a variety of entertainment and performances held here. There were actually dressing rooms and the south end of the building. The Fat Stock Club of Guelph held exhibitions here. Stock sales and agricultural shows were held. Guelph's 50th anniversary in 1877, the celebrations were held in the Drill Hall. And even the founder of the Salvation Army, General William Booth, had a meeting in the Drill Hall that filled it to more than capacity. So the Guelph Garrison Battery still had a gun shed on the fairgrounds, which they used to store their artillery pieces, the guns in their wagons. The guns were actually too big for the gun shed, so they decided to store them in the drill hall. But unfortunately, the floor of the drill hall was not built to hold guns up, so the weight of the artillery pieces were too much and they fell through the floor. And then repairs had to be made to the building for a cost of over $700. After about 20 years after the drill hall was built, the building was actually falling into some disrepair. And it wasn't being as well used as the city hoped. So in 1889, the city was approached by a company, Williams, Green and Rome Company out of Berlin, which is now Kitchener. They were a shirt manufacturer. And they worked out a deal with the city to establish their factory in part of the building as long as there were upgrades made to the building. So a second floor was added, and the company actually didn't have to pay taxes for their first 10 years. So shirts and collars were produced in the factory for about 10 years, and there were 50 people employed here. When the company had to start paying taxes, they moved out, and a new occupant, Loudon Machinery, moved in. But only after they were ensured that electricity was installed in the building. And this was in 1899. Loudon Machinery made potato manufacturing machinery, and they were there for about 10 years as well. They were so successful that they had to move to a larger building, and Aspinwall Machinery Company, who also made potato machinery, moved in 1911, and they worked here until 1923. And here you can see in the picture we're showing, this was the end of the building, and this was during a visit by the royal, part of the royal family, the Duke and Duchess of York, when they visited. That's why the big crowds are here. In 1906, construction began on our current armory, the building just across the street here, and it was completed in 1911 at a cost of $150,000. It was said to be one of the most imposing armories in the entire Dominion. And a military inspector, when they came to Guelph, said, "Guelph doesn't have an armory, we have a palace." And with the construction of the new armory, the drill hall was no longer needed by the local militia. So from the year 1924 till 1945, the drill hall was unofficially known as the city barn, and it was used by the city for storage. Then in 1945, just after the war, the building was again used as a textile factory, first by Zephyr Looms and Textiles, and then by J.P. Hamill & Sons Limited. And during this time, it underwent many internal renovations and a lot of external facelifts too. And since 2006, the building has been unoccupied and empty. Then in 2011, the drill hall was sold to Metrolinx as part of our rail hub. And then in 2017, it was returned again to the city as part of a land exchange. Now the city, as you can see, is doing some renovations and wants to bring this building back to life by stabilizing and upgrading the building and making it available once again for the community to use. So how should this restored historic building be used? Maybe the Horticultural Society will host plant shows once again when the building reopens. We're going to have to wait and see. Well, thanks for joining me and learning about Guelph's Drill Hall.